There is a country in Arabia where the desert turns green. Not in a garden, not through artificial irrigation. Entire mountains become covered in grass waterfalls, return to the valleys, and camels wander through landscapes wrapped in mist. This is Oman, and if you think you know what Arabia looks like, think again. Because beyond the familiar image of sand and scorching sun lies a country of almost impossible contrasts. Turquoise pools hide between barren limestone walls. Ancient villages rise above thousands of date palms. Sea turtles emerge from dark water onto empty beaches, while farther inland, enormous dunes shift beneath the wind, erasing yesterday's footprints. High in the Hajar Mountains, the earth suddenly falls away into canyons so immense that a person standing at the edge becomes almost invisible. Far to the north, mountains plunge directly into blue water, where dolphins race beside wooden dhows through hidden inlets. But one of Oman's greatest secrets cannot be seen from any road. To find it, you must enter a canyon. Walk until the trail disappears. Step into the water and swim toward a gap in the mountain that barely looks wide enough to enter. What lies beyond it, we'll discover later. Yet Oman is more than extraordinary scenery. For centuries, people here have learned to work with landscapes that rarely make life easy. Water still travels through ancient irrigation channels. Mountain terraces turn stone into gardens. Wooden dhows carry the memory of voyages across the Indian Ocean. Fortresses overlook settlements that grew wherever water protection and trade made survival possible. This is a journey from the white streets of Muscat to hidden pools beneath the mountains. From wild coastlines and oceans of sand to an Arabia transformed by rain. A land of water and desert, stone and life, ancient memory and raw wilderness. Oman may look familiar on the map, but once you enter its mountains, almost nothing is what you expected. What if a capital city had the wealth to build upward, but chose to leave its mountains visible? Muscat stretches along the Gulf of Oman in a long ribbon of white, squeezed between rugged brown peaks and an intensely blue sea. From higher ground, the contrast is immediate. Bright neighborhoods fill the valleys, rocky ridges divide one district from another, and the coastline bends around sheltered coves. The city seems shaped by the land rather than placed on top of it. Move closer, and Oman's history begins appearing within the scenery. Above the old harbor, Al-Jalali and Al-Mirani forts occupy rocky positions overlooking waters once crossed by merchants and naval powers. Farther inland, the Sultan Qaboos Grand Mosque rises with a completely different presence, vast courtyards, arches, and a soaring minaret framed by distant mountains. Yet Muscat feels most alive at ground level. Fishing boats return toward the coast. Seabirds drift above the surf. Along Mutrah Corniche, people walk beside the harbor, while traditional dhows rest against a backdrop of steep, barren rock. Then afternoon begins to fade. The heat softens. White facades take on warmer tones. Shadows descend from the mountains and spread slowly toward the water. Find a high viewpoint before sunset. Below you, the city glows between stone and sea, while the Gulf catches the final light. Muscat's beauty comes from an unusual balance. The city has grown enormously, but the mountains still own the skyline. For generations, local legend offered a dramatic explanation for this place. Something fell from the sky and opened a hole in the earth. Then you reach Bima Sinkhole, and for a moment, the story doesn't seem impossible. In the middle of a pale, sun-scorched limestone plain, the ground suddenly collapses into a vast, natural bowl filled with luminous, blue-green water. From the rim, the contrast is almost unnatural. Dry stone above, turquoise below. Its formation, however, tells a slower story. Water gradually dissolved the limestone beneath the surface until part of the ground could no longer support itself and fell inward, leaving the depression visible today. Walk down toward the bottom, and the landscape changes with every step. The exposed plateau disappears behind steep walls. Shade replaces the fierce sunlight. Small patches of vegetation emerge from cracks in the rock, while the pool shifts between jade emerald and clear blue as the angle of light changes. Enter the water, and tiny fish move through the shallows around your feet. Swim farther out. Look back. The limestone walls now rise around you, and high overhead, the outside world has been reduced to a brilliant opening of sky. There are larger canyons in Oman, higher mountains, wilder coastlines, but Bima creates its wonder through contrast. In a landscape where everything appears dry, some of the most beautiful color is hiding beneath the ground. The road can bring you close to Wadi Shab, but it cannot take you to its most beautiful place. For that, you have to continue on foot. The entrance feels almost severe. Limestone cliffs rise above a narrow valley, their pale surfaces exposed beneath the Arabian sun. Beneath your steps, stone and dust dominate everything. Then the first palms appear, and soon after, water. Clear pools stretch, between the canyon walls, shifting from transparent green along the shallows to brilliant turquoise where the rock drops away. Date palms gather beside small cultivated terraces, creating pockets of vegetation beneath mountains that otherwise seem almost completely barren. The farther you travel, the narrower the gorge becomes. Eventually, even the trail disappears. From here, walking is no longer enough. You enter the water. Swim between smooth rock faces, and the outside world slowly vanishes behind you. Sunlight reaches the surface in fragments. Voices become echoes. Ahead, the limestone closes until only a slender passage remains. It looks like the end. It isn't. Slip through the opening, and a hidden chamber suddenly expands around you. Inside, water falls from the rock into a natural pool, illuminated by daylight entering from above. That final reveal changes the entire journey. Wadi Shab isn't extraordinary simply because it has turquoise water or towering cliffs. Its beauty arrives in stages. Stone becomes green, green becomes water, and water eventually leads somewhere you could never have seen from the road. For centuries, people standing on this shore did not see the ocean as the end of Oman. They saw a road to the world. Sir curves around a calm lagoon on Oman's eastern coast, where white houses gather beneath barren hills and the blue water of the Arabian Sea dominates the horizon. At sunrise, fishing boats move across the bay. Gulls skim the surface. Along Al-Hajar, watchtowers rise above rocky slopes, while the lighthouse looks outward toward open water. But listen carefully near the shoreline, and another sound joins the waves: wood striking wood. Here, craftsmen continue the tradition of building taus, wooden vessels, tied to Oman's long maritime history. Ships from this coast once traveled across the Indian Ocean, connecting Oman with ports in India and East Africa. That legacy still feels woven into everyday life. Fishermen return with the morning catch. Nets dry beside small boats. Farther along the coast, quiet beaches unfold beneath rugged headlands, and the town gradually gives way to uninterrupted sea. Then evening reaches the lagoon. The water turns silver. White buildings catch the final warmth of the sun, while wooden vessels become dark silhouettes against the fading horizon. stand beside the shore, and Sur begins to make sense. Its beauty isn't only found in the color of the sea or the mountains surrounding it. It comes from the relationship between them, a town shaped by Arabia, but always looking beyond it. At first, there seems to be almost nothing here. No dramatic skyline, no forest, just an exposed coastline where pale sand, weathered cliffs, and the vast Arabian Sea meet beneath an open sky. Ras Al Jins lies near Oman's eastern edge, and its beauty feels raw rather than polished. Rocky headlands interrupt long beaches. Waves arrive in white lines from the horizon, breaking against dark stone before spreading across smooth stretches of sand. In the early morning sunlight turns the water silver blue. Seabirds ride the coastal wind, while empty coves appear between rugged formations shaped by salt and erosion. But the most remarkable part of this landscape is easier to understand after sunset. Look closely at the beach. Something has crossed it. Broad tracks begin at the waterline and climb toward higher sand. Then, a dark shape emerges from the surf, a green sea turtle. Ras Al Jins is internationally known as an important nesting area for green turtles. Females haul themselves ashore to dig nests, transforming this seemingly empty coastline into a place of extraordinary natural activity. Fortunate nights, an even smaller movement may appear. Hatchlings break through the sand and begin moving toward the water, guided across a beach suddenly enormous compared with their tiny bodies. Then, morning returns. Pink light spreads above the Arabian Sea. The cliffs regain their color. Waves slowly soften the tracks left overnight. Ras Al Jins reveals an important truth about wild places. Sometimes what looks empty is simply waiting for the right moment to come alive. For miles, the mountains seem to offer almost nothing. Bare rock, dry valleys, heat shimmering above a landscape drained of color. And then you see the water. Wadi Bani Khalid appears between the rugged folds of Oman's eastern mountains like a color that should not be here. Clear pools spread beneath pale limestone walls, glowing turquoise in the sun, while date palms gather thickly along their edges. From higher ground, the contrast is extraordinary. A narrow ribbon of green cuts through an otherwise arid world. Move closer, and the wadi becomes more intricate. Water slips between rounded boulders. Small cascades connect deeper basins, while tiny fish gather in the transparent shallows. Dragonflies hover near the reeds, and palm fronds shift gently above reflections broken only by passing ripples. Families have long been drawn to these waters, and nearby settlements exist within a landscape where access to reliable water has always shaped life. But venture farther from the main pools, and the atmosphere changes. The passage tightens, stone walls rise higher, footsteps replace voices. Climb onto a rocky ledge and turn around. Now, the entire oasis opens beneath you. Emerald pools, dense palms, scattered visitors, reduced to tiny figures, and enormous barren mountains enclosing everything. It is only from here that the contradiction becomes complete. Beyond the water, almost nothing grows, yet below life gathers around every drop. In Wadi Bani Khalid, the desert doesn't disappear. It simply opens and reveals what it was hiding. Leave the water behind, and Oman begins to erase the color green. Ahead, Sharqiya Sands unfolds in enormous waves of gold, copper, and burnt orange. Dunes rise one behind another until their edges dissolve into heat and distance. From the ground, they seem immense. From above, they appear endless. But this is not a landscape standing still. Wind races along the ridges, lifting fine grains into the air and drawing new patterns across slopes that may look different by tomorrow. Footprints soften, tire tracks disappear. Even the sharpest crest is temporary. Then something moves across the emptiness. A line of camels climbs slowly over a distant ridge. For Bedouin communities, these sands have long been more than wilderness. Knowledge of water, whether livestock, and routes through the dunes allowed generations to live within an environment that appears almost uninhabitable from the outside. But Sharqiya saves its greatest transformation for late afternoon. Climb. Keep climbing until the camps and vehicles below become tiny marks. Then wait. As the sun falls, one face of every dune turns amber while the other slips into deep shadow. Wind pulls sand from the summits like smoke. Camels become silhouettes against a burning horizon. and for a few minutes, the entire desert seems sculpted from light. By morning, the wind will begin its work again. Because in Sharqiya Sands, even the landscape you came to see was never meant to remain the same. After hours of sand and empty horizons, something unexpected begins appearing beneath the mountains. Thousands of date palms, and rising above them, a massive circular tower. This is Nizwa. From higher ground, the city reveals itself as an oasis of green, surrounded by the rugged Hajar Mountains. Palm groves spread between low, earth-colored neighborhoods, while the enormous round tower of Nizwa Fort dominates the old center. For centuries, this was one of Oman's important centers of religion, trade, and political power. Step inside the fort, and its scale becomes clearer. Thick walls protect narrow passages and stairways. Openings overlook the settlement below, while the Great Tower offers sweeping views across rooftops, plantations, and distant peaks. But descend again, and Nizwa changes character. Near the souqs baskets overflow with dates. Frankincense spices, pottery, and silverwork fill small shops. Early in the morning, traders and farmers bring movement back into streets that were almost silent before sunrise. Beyond the market, palms sway above irrigation channels, carrying precious water through cultivated land. Here, history is not separated from the landscape. The fortress guarded a settlement whose survival depended on the oasis surrounding it. Then, late sunlight reaches the mountains. The tower turns gold. Long shadows stretch across the palm canopy, and the old city settles beneath the peaks. From above, Nizwa's story becomes remarkably simple. Stone provided protection, water created life, and between them, a city endured. You hear the village before you understand it. A thin stream of water runs beside the path, somewhere beneath the palms. Step beneath their shade, and Misfat al-Abriyan begins unfolding vertically around you. Old stone and mud houses occupy the mountainside. Narrow footpaths twist between walls, descend beneath date trees, then reappear beside terraces filled with bananas, citrus, pomegranates, and other crops. Above them stands bare rock. Below them grows an oasis. The connection is water. For generations, Aflaji irrigation channels have carried it through Omani settlements, distributing a scarce resource toward homes and cultivated plots. Here, those slender channels thread through the village like veins. Follow one, and the scenery keeps changing. A farmer disappears between the trees. Dates hang heavily beneath palm crowns. Water murmurs past weathered steps before slipping toward another garden. Higher up, tightly packed houses seem almost carved into the mountainside itself, their earthy surfaces blending with the surrounding stone. Near evening climb beyond the palms. Only now does the full picture reveal itself. Terraces cascade down the slope. Green vegetation fills the ravine. Ancient-looking homes rise above the canopy, while immense mountains close around the settlement. Nothing about this greenery feels accidental. Every tree depends on where the water is allowed to travel. Every cultivated level reps generations of adaptation. Misfat al-Abriyin is not simply a village surrounded by nature. Here, human hands and the mountain have spent centuries creating the landscape together. The first surprise is not something you see, it is something you smell. Roses, thousands of them blooming high in the mountains of Arabia. Jebel Akhdar means the green mountain, and here the harsh face of Oman begins to soften. At high elevation, cooler conditions allow orchards and cultivated terraces to spread across slopes overlooking enormous ravines. Pomegranate trees grow beside apricots and walnuts. During the rose season, entire terraces blush pink. The mountain community's flowers are traditionally gathered in the cooler hours of morning. Their petals are distilled to produce Omani rose water, continuing a practice closely associated with these highlands. Yet agriculture occupies only a fraction of what surrounds you. Lift your eyes beyond the gardens. The earth suddenly falls away. Immense limestone canyons cut through the plateau, exposing layer upon layer of rock. Villages occupy ledges that appear impossibly small against the cliffs, while terraced fields descend toward valleys hundreds of meters below. Clouds sometimes drift across the summits, briefly swallowing distant ridges before releasing them again. Walk along one of the old mountain paths. Goats negotiate uneven slopes. Water moves quietly through irrigation channels. Stone houses emerge between orchards, their colors almost indistinguishable from the cliffs behind them. Then the evening light arrives. The gardens darken first. Canyon walls turn copper. Faraway peaks fade into layers of blue-gray. And suddenly the name Green Mountain feels almost too simple, because Jebel Akhdar isn't remarkable merely for being green. It is remarkable that all of this life exists so high above the dry heart of Arabia. Look carefully at the edge of this cliff. That tiny figure standing beside it is a person. Only then does the scale of Jebel Shams begin to make sense. Oman's highest mountain rises above a world of fractured limestone, immense escarpments and ravines disappearing deep into the Hajar range. Here, the land doesn't gently descend toward the valleys. It seems to break apart. Step toward the rim, and entire layers of geological time appear across the opposite wall. Bands of exposed rock curve through the mountains, shaped by forces far older than any settlement below. Far beneath your feet, Wadi Gul cuts through the terrain. From this height, roads become threads. Buildings almost vanish. Along the balcony walk, a narrow trail traces the canyon wall. Goats occasionally move across ledges with an ease that feels impossible, while hikers pass beneath overhangs toward the remains of an abandoned settlement tucked against the rock. There are moments when the only movement comes from birds riding columns of rising air. Then, clouds begin crossing the plateau. One ridge disappears, another emerges. Sunlight penetrates the gaps and travels across the canyon floor hundreds of meters below. Stay until the day begins to fall. Gray limestone warms to bronze. Shadows consume the deepest ravines, while the highest ridges hold sunlight for a few minutes longer. Jebel Shams doesn't need forests, turquoise pools, or monumental architecture to overwhelm you. Its beauty comes from something far more primitive, standing beside a landscape so enormous that for a moment you understand exactly how small you are. For much of the year, these hills wear the familiar colors of Arabia. Then the clouds arrive, and an entire region changes. During the Kharif season, moisture, carried by the summer monsoon, settles over southern Oman. Around Salalah, brown slopes awaken beneath mist vegetation, spreads across the hillsides, and roads disappear into low clouds. Suddenly, this doesn't look like the Arabian Peninsula at all. Travel east toward Wadi Darbat, and the transformation becomes even more dramatic. Water gathers beneath limestone cliffs. Streams wind through broad green valleys. Waterfalls descend after seasonal rains, and dense vegetation follows the channels toward natural pools. Camels wander across grass-covered slopes. Cattle graze beneath misty ridges. Bird calls replace the silence of the interior desert. Closer to Salalah, coconut palms bend toward tropical-looking beaches where white sand meets the Arabian Sea. Frankincense trees grow farther inland, connecting Dhofar's landscape to a trade that once carried its precious resin towards civilizations across the ancient world. But perhaps the most memorable experience is simply driving into the mountains during Kharif. The temperature falls, fog thickens across the road, droplets gather on leaves. Then the clouds briefly open. Below you, Wadi Darbat spreads through the valley in layers of green, with water flashing between trees and pale cliffs disappearing into mist. Only a few chapters ago, we were standing among endless dunes. Now, Arabia is covered in grass, and that may be Oman's greatest visual surprise, not that it contains so many landscapes, but that one country can transform itself this completely. For a moment, forget everything Oman has shown us, because up here, even Arabia seems to have changed shape. At Musandam, enormous mountains plunge directly toward blue water. Deep inlets twist between bare limestone walls, creating a coastline so dramatic that the region is often compared to a world of Arabian fjords. From a wooden dhow, the scale feels even greater. Rock faces rise almost vertically beside you. Hidden coves appear around bends, their water shifting from cobalt to turquoise, where sunlight reaches the shallows. Then something breaks the surface. A dorsal fin. Another follows. Within seconds, dolphins are racing beside the boat, disappearing beneath the waves before emerging again farther ahead. Above them, seabirds circle against cliffs, seemingly carved straight from the mountains. Small fishing settlements appear in isolated pockets along this rugged coast, reminders that people have learned to live where roads, level ground, and easy access were never guaranteed. For generations, the sea provided the connection, and even today, traditional dhows remain part of the experience of moving through these waters. Continue deeper. The passage narrows, engines quiet. For a moment, there is only water touching stone. Then, let the camera rise. One inlet becomes three. Three become dozens. Mountain after mountain emerges beyond the boat until the entire peninsula unfolds beneath you. We have seen Oman filled with deserts, waterfalls, green valleys, ancient settlements, and immense canyons. But here at the far end of our journey, two of its greatest forces finally meet. Mountain and ocean, neither gives way. And Musandam is the extraordinary landscape created between them. We began this journey with an Arabia we thought we understood. Sand, heat, mountains beneath an endless sun. But Oman kept changing the picture. Water appeared where the earth seemed completely dry. Villages turned mountainsides into gardens. Turtles crossed silent beaches beneath the stars. And far to the south, rain and mist transformed an arid land into rolling fields of green. Yet perhaps the most unforgettable moments were quieter. The sound of water moving through an ancient falaj, wind lifting sand from the crest of a dune, a fisherman returning across the Arabian Sea, a dolphin breaking the surface beneath the cliffs of Musandam. These are not separate versions of Oman. They are Oman. A country shaped by extremes, where people learned not to conquer difficult landscapes, but to understand them, to guide water through stone, to build beneath mountains, to cross oceans, to find life where at first glance there seems to be almost none. And maybe that is what stays with you after leaving Oman. Not one fortress, not one canyon, not even one perfect sunset. But the feeling that every time you thought you understood this country, the landscape changed again. If this journey showed you an Arabia you never expected, subscribe and continue exploring with us. Because beyond the next horizon, another place is waiting to change the way we see the world. Until the next journey.